Welcome to the reveal. We're here with the folks from B.O.O.O and Doug Starcher, who you can now see in the light. Doug is the buildings and grounds supervisor for the Bellingham Theater Guild and gave us a lot of good background information. We have Elena and Chuck, Darla and John from B.O.O.O. And we're going to find out if we saw Carl, heard Carl, noticed Carl, if there was a Carl. What did we find out?
Well, unfortunately, our evidence, I wouldn't say is the best.
Okay.
We did catch some things, but not as great as I would have liked it to be. But we do have a few sound files that we're going to play for you today. So we can go ahead and jump in with that if you'd like.
Let's see what we got.
Okay. So the first one that we're going to play for you, I'll tell you a little bit about each one. We were up here on the stage, and I believe it was myself, Elena, you, and Scott as well. And we were explaining the spirit box, what that is and what that does. And then right after that, there's a little voice that came in. It's a really quick whisper.
If you're here, this will help us hear you.
Ooh. I did hear that right in between where I speak and the spirit box turns on.
Exactly. So I'm going to play it once more, and then I'll focus in on that spot.
If you're here, this will help us hear you.
I can't quite tell what they're saying. With headphones, you probably could hear it.
Right. So what I heard on that is after we just stopped, or I stopped explaining the spirit box, I hear a whisper that comes in and says, "What's it do?"
Ah.
So I'll play that for you one more time.
If you're here, this will help us hear you.
It's very quick.
What's it do?
I heard it.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's good to note that only Chuck's recorder caught this.
Right.
It's not in the other recordings. Piece of evidence number one.
So for our next one, it was also from the stage, and I believe just at this time, Elena and Carol were up here by themselves. And yeah, I believe you heard some rustling around?
We did. I was sitting on one side, she was sitting on the other, and it's very faint, but you could hear, it almost sounds like footsteps, and we had our audio guy go over, and he says it does have a very woody tone to it. He compared it to other recordings that he has, and Carol will acknowledge that she's hearing it too.
Okay.
And then it was just until like maybe the last, I don't know, 5 years or so. More recently, 3 years ago when I went on that ghost hunt. And actually had firsthand experience with some very interesting ghosts. Those are the ones that were counting with us. And I was like, that stuff cannot be faked.
No.
You keep hearing something like that.
Is it
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, and then you hear it come
Closer.
So I know this is an old building, and you mentioned yourself, it's constantly talking.
It's
But
making noise.
What was interesting is that it was really close to us. It didn't sound like it was on the walls or anything.
And then it was just until like maybe the last, I don't know, 5 years or so. More recently, 3 years ago when I went on that ghost hunt. And actually had firsthand experience with some very interesting ghosts. Those are the ones that were counting with us.
Yeah. All right, so for the next two, Elena will talk about those.
Okay, so this is when we were down this back stairwell in the storage room that's right down at the bottom. I don't know if you remember, but suddenly we heard the door close. We had gone through that main door to get into the storage area, and it squeaks really loud.
Is this the one where you tested it to see if it closed slowly or quickly?
Right, correct. So we had made it, all of us were in the back of the room, and suddenly we hear the door. This EVP, it's very light in this recording, but he was able to isolate that sound and compare it to earlier when we had walked through the door, and it was pretty much the same noise. So he was able to confirm it was the door. And we did go back and we tried to test to see if it closed real slow, and maybe that's what we were hearing, but you might be familiar with this, but it closes pretty fast. It doesn't take its sweet time, so someone walked through that door and it wasn't us, so.
All right.
Please keep this door closed. And there's something in there.
And that was one of us whispering. So it's right, he's reading the sign at the very end of the other door. And right after that, you hear the small squeak. It might be hard on.
Please keep this door closed. And there's something in there.
So these are those two files that he put together, one on top of another, and you can see it's the same pattern. So it's just another way to confirm that it was the door that we heard.
So you confirmed that we just saw that audio track overlaid, so you compared the door closing with the sound that you picked up.
Right.
And it basically
It
follows
matches.
the same track.
Exactly.
And when that happened on the recording, the door was already closed.
Exactly.
Right.
We were
Yep,
all in the
and
room
we
at
were
that point,
nowhere
yeah.
near it.
Yeah.
So, yes. Okay, so this is downstairs in the actor's dressing room. And you can, well, hopefully you'll be able to hear a female voice. You can't quite tell what is being said. It's almost like the start of something, so I'll play it for you.
Okay.
Right there.
Yeah, there's two instances where you hear that.
Yeah, the first one was really
It
hard to
sounds
hear.
a little bit distant, but it's definitely a mid-level female tone. Now, what's interesting about this is that last time we were here, Michael had let us in, it was a couple years ago, we kept hearing a female. And we're going to play a really short clip from one of our recordings of that time, and you can hear that it's really similar. So, it's a little strange.
See, it's just us.
It's right before I'm talking.
Yeah.
And as you can tell, it's...
See, it's just us.
So,
Clearly not you.
No.
See, it's just us.
So it's interesting that we caught that very similar tone twice, now that we've been here. Does that sound like anything you've heard around here?
You know, I can't say. The doors, those kind of things, that stuff happens here.
All right, well, I think we've at least concluded that there are some suspicious things that have happened here. I don't
Yes,
think
indeed.
we can say definitively that the place is haunted, but it's a curious place to keep checking out.
And it's always good to remember, too, that we were only here for 3 hours. So this building has a lot more going on the rest of the time when we are not here checking it out. So does that mean that there is nothing here because we only found 4 small clips? Not at all. So, yeah, there's a very good chance that this building is haunted.
And in a good way.
Yes.
Exactly,
Yes.
yeah. A fun
Carl,
way.
Let's stick with the marketing people.
Carl the Friendly Ghost. Well, Doug, thank you so much for letting us come here and use the theater. Please pass our thanks along to the other powers that be, and we sure appreciate having had the chance to.
Well, I'm happy to do it. This was good fun, and you know, we'd like to encourage people to come down and get their own sense of the building.
And if you have a haunted place, or you wonder, and you'd like to hire some pros to come in and find out whatever there is to find out, the folks at B.O.O.O can help you out, right?
Yes, indeed.
Very good. And you offer ghost hunting classes.
We do. We have one coming up November 7th. It's on a Saturday, and if you
It'll
want
be-
to learn how to ghost hunt and go on an investigation, we'd love to have you.
Don't forget the Bellingham Theater Guild has a capital campaign going on right now. They need to make some big improvements to this building, and it sounds like Carl's not objecting too much. If you'd like to help with that effort, you can go to btg4thefuture.com to donate. That's btg4thefuture.com. And if you're curious about upcoming shows in this great local theater, BellinghamTheaterGuild.com has all the information you need. Thanks for watching these videos. Hope we didn't scare you too much. See you next Halloween. Boo.